Hey friends, welcome back or welcome to my channel. If you're new, I'm Kalesha and I sit before you today 17 weeks pregnant with twins. Still very wild to me. I have shared multiple videos around this topic so far, so go back and watch those videos. Last week I talked a little bit about how I've been feeling mentally and spiritually about receiving the news that I was having twins, and today in this video I want to give you all a first trimester recap and just talk about some of the physical changes that my body has been going through with this pregnancy. So super excited first and foremost to be out of that first trimester. Not that I had the roughest time, because I know there are a lot of women out there that really struggle, not only their first trimester but throughout their entire pregnancy. And being that this is my second pregnancy, I have been blessed, okay, tremendously blessed both times. Although my last pregnancy ended tragically, and I'm still in this one, I'm very hopeful still. And before I get into this video, I just want to preface and say, although I'll be pretty much complaining about some of the symptoms, do not take it literally and think I'm just a brat, or I don't want to feel any kind of anything with this pregnancy. I know that is highly unlikely with any pregnancy. However, I'm here, I'm present, I'm current, I'm pregnant, I'm present, and this is what my body endured and is currently enduring during this experience, and I want to share it with you. So if you want to hear what's been going on throughout this first trimester, let's hop right into it. So if you know, these pregnancy months and weeks are confusing, okay? I mean, you can think you're only like a month, but you're really 2 or 3, and it's just wild to me. So pulling up a pregnancy calendar, it does break down that the first trimester is from week 1 to the end of week 12, whereas the second trimester is from week 13 to the end of week 26, and the third and final trimester is from week 27 to the end of pregnancy. As I stated in a previous video, I found out I was pregnant when I was about 4 weeks and 4 days according to the app. But even before then, even before finding out with an at-home test, I had a few pre-pregnancy symptoms, such as I had really sore nipples. Not my breasts, but my nipples were super sore. I found it kind of uncomfortable trying to sleep on my stomach, and that is my favorite position to sleep in, and I felt just kind of sick laying on my stomach. And the final symptom before taking a pregnancy test was, of course, a missed period, which is usually the most common symptom to let women know that they're pregnant. However, in some cases, women still have a cycle and are pregnant, so that wasn't my story. I knew pretty much after the second day I was late that I was pregnant. However, I did not take a test till a few days later. So those were some of the pre-pregnancy symptoms I got at about 4 weeks. And then at that, I might as well say 5-week mark, is when I actually found out via at-home pregnancy test that it was positive. That's when a lot of my, not a lot, but most of the symptoms I was dreading started to really occur. And I just feel like as soon as you know for a fact that you're pregnant, your body just starts to respond as though you're pregnant. So in weeks 5 to 6, the first symptom that hit me was nausea. And it was all day. Like, no matter if I ate or what, it was just all day. I felt like I just wanted to vomit, but I never did. So I don't know which is worse, like actually vomiting or feeling like you have to and not being able to get that relief. So I eventually started taking Tums, because I usually thought they only worked for heartburn, but they actually are very beneficial for nausea too, for those of you out there struggling with this right now. That helped me a lot. Second symptom that I absolutely hated and it put me on my butt was exhaustion. Y'all, I did not even know I was pregnant with twins at this point, but looking back, that was a different type of exhaustion. Like, I had energy to do nothing other than go to work. I barely had energy to do that, but I'm like, I gotta pay my bills. I gotta keep my lights and my water and all that on. So I would muster up the strength to go to work, but anything other than that, such as YouTube, no. But did not care anything about it. I was so tired. It did not make any sense. I hated it. However, I listened to my body and I gave it as much rest as it needed. And still, no rest felt like it was enough. So I don't even know how to explain it. It's just a different type of exhaustion and it hit me good. Third symptom I got, which I thought was pretty early to be experiencing, that also was a clue about me being pregnant with two, was frequent urination. Like, I mean, I was using the bathroom a lot already and I'm like, what is going on here? So that was definitely an early sign that I was expecting twins. Fourth symptom that may be a little TMI was a constipation. Oh my God. I mean, I've read why, but it's just like, let me use the bathroom. Like, it's so uncomfortable to know you have to poop and struggle to poop. Then I can't take a stool softener. So it's just uncomfortable. So that was one I just did not like. And then a really weird symptom that I had literally only for a day was a sore tongue. And I think I was like lacking vitamin B12, because usually with my patients, I'm a dental hygienist, if they have any kind of sores or something on their tongue, we suggest that they have their doctor check their vitamin B12 levels. So once I started taking prenatal vitamins that next day, that went away. So thank God. But that was a really weird symptom to me. So yeah, that did not last long at all. So at 7 weeks, my appetite really started to increase. So about every 2 to 3 hours, I was hungry or I wanted a snack. And that also could have been a sign of, being pregnant with two, because sometimes in that first trimester, most women cannot even eat or stomach a lot or be able to eat the things that they love eating. But my children have not given me any problem when it comes to eating what I want to eat. They actually want me to eat everything in sight. And I'm like, no, I just ate. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. However, I do keep a good balanced diet and try to eat every 2 to 3 hours, even still now. So my appetite increased pretty quickly in this pregnancy. Second thing I noticed was a small baby bump. Now, mind you, my first pregnancy, I did not start showing till I was about 6 months, y'all. I'm not even kidding. 6 months is when I started to show. However, now I'm in the 7th week and I'm starting to show. Now, I knew some of it was due to bloating, but I was like, this is uncommon. Like, why am I showing this soon? So that was also an early sign of being pregnant with twins, showing super early. Another symptom in 7 weeks was gas and burping. Although I was constipated, I still was pooing and burping a lot. So I know it's human, women and men do it, but I felt and sounded like a man every time I belched. I just was like, this is too much. So that was weird. And it's still kind of persistent, so whatever. And then the last symptom within that 7 weeks was maybe TMI, but my lips down there were really itchy, which I've come to find out that I could not wear the panty liners I was using. Like, my body did not like those. I had to switch it up. So once I switched it up, I was fine and my lips were not itchy anymore. Now at 8 weeks, that was my first sonogram. So if you haven't seen that video, I'll link it in the card section. Be sure to watch it. That is where and when I found out I was actually expecting twins. So some symptoms within that week were that my anxiety peaked. And granted, if you find out you're having twins, who wouldn't get a little bit of anxiety? So I feel like I started to, experience a little bit more anxiety then, knowing that, okay, not only am I pregnant with one, now I have two, and that's a lot to take in. A good symptom was that my nausea actually lifted. It got much better. Like, I thought I was gonna have to experience that for the next 3 to 4, 5 weeks that was left in my first trimester. However, it quit at 8 weeks. So I wasn't complaining about that at all. I was super thankful about that. And then another symptom was that my hips really started to hurt. So at this point, it was really hard for me to get comfortable in bed. And I think they called it like round ligament pain, which I thought would come much later in pregnancy as I got much bigger, because I was still pretty small, but I was experiencing these growing pains already. So that was pretty uncomfortable, and now that I am getting bigger, I'm still experiencing that. So that'll probably just go on throughout the pregnancy. So hey, I know it's here to stay. Now in weeks 9 through 10, I feel like my hormones were in overdrive. I was very irritable, overly emotional, and I would just cry over the craziest things. I think one thing I cried about was I got back from work like at lunch and somebody had my park, and I like cried. Or Captain D's didn't give me a breadstick. They gave me 2 hush puppies, and I made it home and I saw that and I cried because I'm like, I don't eat hush puppies and I really love bread. So little stuff like that I was crying over. And I also, at 10 weeks, I got a sinus infection that lasted for like 2 weeks. Like, mind you, I know your immune system is kind of suppressed because you're pregnant and your body doesn't want to fight those children that you're producing. So your immune system is kind of suppressed in these months, like during pregnancy, and you can't take a lot of over-the-counter medications. So I was sick for much longer than I'm used to being sick. And you know, thank goodness it was not COVID. It was really a sinus infection, and it did eventually pass, and I did not get anybody else sick. So that is the good thing. But it did last just much longer, like 2 whole weeks, like much longer than a cold has ever lasted me. And I know it had a lot to do with me not being able to take medications, or I could take one, but I just wasn't comfortable, so I just kind of stuck it out. At 11 weeks, the first symptom I started to experience was I was super thirsty. And not just thirsty, like all I wanted was water. No matter if I had a lemonade, a pop, or anything, I had to have water with it because water was the only thing that quenched my thirst. Speaking of water, let me take a sip. So good. All right, another very fun symptom was bladder incompetence. Yeah, I could not control my bladder. Like, I would think I had just emptied my bladder completely, and then 30 minutes later I'm like rushing back to the bathroom and like peeing on myself a little bit, and I'm like, what in the world, you know? Or I would pass gas and I pee, or I would laugh too hard, I pee, you know. It was just it was so annoying, and I still do it now. I have peed on myself so many times. Now I'm like embarrassed to say it, but it's like I just do not have control of my bladder like I thought I did as an adult. So I mean, I'm sure it only get worse as these 2 babies get bigger. So at this point, if y'all want to buy me some Pampers, feel free to do so. Another symptom I started to experience is faintness and dizziness, especially if I got up too fast or if I was bending over and then I stood up. I would get pretty dizzy. So week 12 was a really good week. That was my second ultrasound, so I was able to see both babies again, and they had gotten so big from that first ultrasound that we got. So I was like, oh my goodness. But everything, they were measuring good, everything looked healthy with them, so that really gave me a peace of mind. Also within that week, I started to gain a lot of energy back. Like, I wasn't as tired as I had been those weeks prior, and I was coming up on a trip. I was about to take a trip for my birthday, so I was getting prepped for that, so that was exciting. And I also got my first prophecy over the children, y'all. It was so special. At my church, they just touched my belly and just told me everything they saw with my children, how they were going to be used in God's kingdom, and how to go ahead and be preparing and prepping them to step foot and, you know, live for Christ, step foot out in this world and immediately begin to live for Christ. So that was a really special week for me, and I'm just super excited for what's to come because of that prophecy for sure. And then week 13, which is the final week I'll be covering in this first trimester recap, a symptom I started to experience is a lot of pressure in my vajayjay. So I just think it's my uterus is getting bigger. The placenta, I read that the placenta was starting to develop, so that, you know, adds a little bit more weight, and it causes your uterus to expand more. So I felt that pressure like in my vajayjay. So that started in week 13. I also had my first anxiety, or what I would call a panic attack. I started getting a lot of this discharge that I thought was amniotic fluid, but I read that it was called leukorrhea or leukorrhea, something like that. It's a discharge that starts like right at the beginning of your second trimester, and it just keeps that canal from harboring infections and stuff. So it's beneficial to the pregnancy. However, I thought like I was leaking amniotic fluid, and I was on a cruise and they couldn't check my baby, so I had like a panic attack that something was wrong. However, everything was fine, thank gosh. And it was just that discharge that my body would start producing in the second trimester. But those were all of the symptoms I experienced from week 1 to week 13. I do have a good ways to go. I am almost halfway there though, so that is encouraging and exciting. Comment down below some of your first trimester symptoms. I'd love to hear about your experience. I'd love to see some of the struggles you have, or see if we have some similarities in the things we experience, to see if we can just connect down in the comments. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on your post notifications if you're excited about the content that is to come. Next week is gonna be a super cool video because y'all gonna be finding out who my baby dad is. So yes, you'll get to meet my boyfriend in next week's video. So go ahead, subscribe, turn on your post notifications, because I know y'all nosy rosies want to see and meet him. So okay, I may have turned them comments off because did my man now. No, I'm just playing, but for real, I'll see y'all next week. Bye friends.